What's up, YouTube? I'm back with another video, and this time I got one of my gym buddies with me. I'm letting him tell you a little bit about his story. He got a great one for you. So let's start off with a little introduction.
Well, my name is Ryan. I've been coming to the Eastside Y for about 5 years. My wife and 2 kids. I'm from Pneumonia, Minnesota, Moy Bear area, and we moved to Eastside about 6 years ago, and we've loved every minute of it.
All right. So I guess we just get really right to it. Tell them what happened to you, and I guess just tell them what happened to you, because I don't really know detail-wise myself.
Yeah, well, I work at a clinic. I work at the University of Minnesota Physicians Clinics and Surgery Center.
It's going to be really awkward when I take my clothes off.
Oh, you're finna do that? Okay.
I'll just go over there.
Okay, I appreciate it. See, that's what happens when you're inside the gym. We at the Y, so.
Yeah, there's no good place it is. But anyway, I got a very, very bad lung infection. I had the flu twice this past year. Got the flu shot and everything, so I can't really say it was that affected this year. But the second time I got the flu, I went home and I, of course, tried the Tamiflu. I didn't want to miss any more work than I was. But it never worked. I just had the first day off, I felt like shit, and the next day, it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. Ultimately, what happened, one night I couldn't stop coughing, I got about an hour's worth of sleep, and this is after I started feeling pain in my left side here, my left side lung. I thought maybe I just pulled a muscle from coughing so much, I was going to be fine. I was having a hard time breathing and getting a breath in. Got to the point where I was feeling like I was drowning. I was getting panic attacks because I couldn't get a full breath in.
And let me interrupt you 1 second.
Yeah.
Because maybe I missed it. You said at first, how did this even occur in the first place? Did you say from a cold or what was it?
From the flu.
From the flu?
Yeah.
Okay, so you had the flu and it was a normal
flu at first.
Okay.
But the problem is I never got better. So it turned out to be a complication. After all was said and done, that's what was kind of determined, is that it was a complication of the flu that caused this pneumonia to happen, which is very common.
So go back to the part you said your side was hurting, your lung area was hurting.
So I was staying at home, resting, drinking fluids, whatnot, trying to do all the normal stuff that you normally do. But I had this pain right here on my left side, and it kept developing. I thought maybe I had pulled a muscle from coughing so much. But then at that point, I was starting to have panic attacks. I couldn't breathe. Felt like I was underwater, basically. Every time I'd stand up, I'd feel nauseous and almost basic puke. And it got to the point where one night, I got about an hour and a half's worth of sleep because I couldn't stop coughing. And my wife said, we should probably get this checked out. And we went to the emergency room. Her friend took our kids, and she was able to take me to the emergency room, where they did a chest x-ray. And I should also back up saying I could barely walk at this point. I couldn't walk fast. I couldn't stand on feet almost. They did a chest x-ray, determined it was bacterial pneumonia. So we're thinking, okay, that's great. We can be in here for like a night. That's all there is to it. Hooked me up with some antibiotics, but then the problem was I never responded to those antibiotics. I kept getting worse, even with the IV antibiotics and the fluids and stuff like that, which really confused the doctors, and they were thinking, well, why isn't this guy recovering?
Now this was from being over there overnight, so the next day you wasn't.
This
even
was the
ready.
next day in the ER, yeah. So
Okay.
that's when the doctors, when I was in the ER, they just said, this is pneumonia, we'll treat you with some antibiotics, you'll be out of here in maybe a day. Great. That first night, it kept getting worse. It was just a steady decline. My levels were dropping. My consciousness was flying in and out. I would fall asleep mid-sentence if I were talking to the doctors.
Wow, that's pretty drastic.
Yeah, it was very bad, and they could tell when I was doing that this was not your typical case of pneumonia. And it really, to be honest, this whole story, a lot of it is very, very shaky, because I don't remember a whole lot of it because of what's going to happen next.
Right.
Spent the first night in the just regular the hospital, and then they decided to move me up to the ICU as a soft admit, saying I don't really have to be there, but you have a pulmonologist now that wants to see you, so he works up there, so we're going to put you in the ICU.
Wow, that's deep.
Yeah. So I went up there and we did some more tests, and my levels kept dropping. At this point, I was having same anxiety attacks. I was hallucinating. There were times in which I was laying in my bed, and I'd have to convince myself that I was not actually walking up or walking around with people that I really thought I was. So I'm sitting there laying in my bed, and in my own consciousness, I am walking around with people in the hallways of this hospital. And I had to wake up and say, no, I'm still here. I'm still in this hospital bed. I'm still here. And they put me on another pretty heavy duty antibiotic called vancomycin. And I was having that. I was kind of sleeping. All of a sudden I woke up and my body was on fire. I was hot. I felt like I was on fire. I really did. And turns out that's one of the reactions to this particular antibiotic. So I had to stop that one, which really complicated things.
Since you said, I was going to ask you, since you was going in and out of consciousness, you really wasn't physically feeling nothing, but you actually, the hot part is the first time you was actually physically feeling
that's when I
something?
woke up really quick and I thought, I need to get up. Whatever is in me, I need to get this out of me.
Right.
Because this sucks. It was like it's like when you're too hot outside in the summer day, but it was like that times 10.
Yeah, film in the locker room.
You said you can't film in the locker room.
Right here. There's a sign, there's no cell phone use and there's no, thank you.
Oh. Sorry about that, man.
Where was I? Yes, so I had this reaction to this medication. Ultimately, I essentially lost consciousness completely. I remember waking up on Tuesday morning, just not doing well. I couldn't breathe. I think my respirations were like at 80 or something. The normal is about 15. My oxygen levels had gone to 83%.
Now, how many days is this so far? Is this still
This was
just
the
the next
first
day?
2 days, so Sunday to
2 days.
Tuesday. This is when I remember. I woke up on Tuesday feeling just the worst. We'll go out.
Yeah, you can keep talking though. We can.
So I had a CT scan done, right? Oh, sorry. Again, this is so foggy to me because I don't really have.
Right, you don't really remember much, but
They took me back on Monday to have a thoracentesis done,
right.
which is where they stick a needle in your back basically and suck out all kinds of fluid
Yep.
in your lung space. There's a pleural space around your lungs that houses it. In mine, they took out 900 milliliters of fluid. That's about a half of a 2-liter bottle
Wow.
of fluid. It looks basically like a hearty brew, like a beer. Which I'll never forget seeing that. And that's at the same time where I was, every time I'd stand up, I couldn't do it. I'd start feeling I was going to throw up. And they were going to run some tests and see what kind of bacteria is causing this pneumonia. And then I woke up on Tuesday and had that CT scan done. And I had to talk to a surgeon saying, hey, if they can't, if the thoracentesis, getting that fluid removed doesn't fix us, we might have to do surgery to have that removed. And they weren't super convinced that was going to be necessary. So I was like, okay, that's good. And into my consciousness.
Was it tuberculosis?
No, it was pneumonia.
Oh, pneumonia.
Yeah.
Okay, that was. Sorry.
And so I had the CT scan, and that's all I remember after that. From what I was told, this is all being told to me now. I wake up on Friday. So Tuesday to Friday, I have no recollection of those 4 days. I was out cold. I was put on a ventilator. They had called my surgeon from St. Joe's Hospital, had him drive to St. John's to do an emergency surgery when they saw what was in there.
Wow.
It was Group A hemolytic strep, which is essentially the same bacteria that causes strep throat and also flesh-eating disease.
Wow. Flesh-eating disease.
Necrotizing. I don't remember the term. It's been a while, but it's called an empyema. I had it in my lungs and around my lungs. That's that pleural space around my lungs. So the infection spread from my lungs inside it. It got outside of that, and it turns out your body can't really touch that part of your body, or the immune system can't touch that part of your body, just for whatever reason.
Right.
So they had to cut me. They had to drain the fluid out of these were chest tube sites. They had to go in with a scope. They had to scrape out all the junk that was in there and suck it out. So I was in surgery. My wife had to sign waivers for me to be admitted into surgery. She had to say goodbye to me while I was being wheeled into surgery. I had no idea what was going on.
And now was this that Friday?
It
So
was
day
Tuesday.
before? That was Tuesday
This is
still.
the span where I don't have any recollection because I was out cold the entire time.
And you ended up waking up on Friday.
I woke up on Friday, yes. So they did the surgery. It inserted a bunch of chest tubes so that when that was done, all that fluid could drain out of those tubes and into these cylinders I always had near me. So then, after that, they weren't sure after that surgery that I was going to make it. They said, he's not stable. It's touch and go from this point. He might not make it. my wife she told me she had to deal with the possibility of being a single parent because she thought my husband's going to die. And I was very close. Even all the doctors, after I'd woken up, said, you were really close.
Yeah, I
You were
remember
so
coming to the Y one day and your wife was telling me that you're in the hospital. I'm like, I'm thinking like maybe you just broke her arm or something.
Yeah.
And she said, you're not looking too good, and like it's really not looking too good. And
Yeah.
I was like, wow, because you're healthy, you be in the gym, and next thing you know, it just went downhill.
Oh yeah, it was bad. I mean, when all of your doctors, specialists they treat pretty complicated stuff, and they're telling you that you almost died of it, you were really sick, that's not a good sign.
Not at all.
No, so for 4 days I was on a ventilator. They put me on propofol, I think it's right, Dilaudid, and it's propofol, Dilaudid, and Versed, which is a pretty powerful benzodiazepine. And, well, just to give you some context, propofol is what killed Michael Jackson. So it was a heavy dose of all three of those things to keep me in this medically induced coma. And there was a time in which this 4-day period that my wife, nobody could see me in the room that I was in. They wouldn't let them see me for
That's
whatever.
crazy.
Yeah. So for 4 days, my wife had to deal with that, and of course I have no memory of this whatsoever. But I remember waking up on Friday, and I in this bed, and I had all this stuff attached to me, like tubes and hoses and whatnot, and I had this really hard metal thing in my mouth, and I'm thinking, that was the ventilator that I was on. That was keeping me breathing and alive for the last 4 days.
Right.
And I remember they would stick like a tube down. They said they were going to suction you now. So they were sticking this tube down my ventilator into my lungs and sucking out all kinds of junk from my lungs from the infection. It turns out they'd been doing that for about four times a day for the last 4 days.
4 times a day for 4 days.
Yeah, but when I was awake and conscious, that was the worst. That was probably the worst experience for me the whole time, because it's like having somebody stick a rag down your trachea into your lungs and scooping up all that crap. I couldn't cough. I wanted to throw up because it was so bad. But I was restrained down to the bed too, because it would turn out that evidently I wrestled 4 nurses through a pillow and tried to pull up my ventilator when I was still on it. So they had to restrain my wrist and make sure that I wasn't going to do that.
Yeah, I know that happens. My son was just in the hospital and they had to get restrained. I guess it's something about, you want to get up and you want to know what's going on. And
it's a survival instinct.
Exactly.
Yeah. Which is the one I'm slightly proud of, is that it took 4 nurses to rescue me. I'm okay with that.
Right.
I'm okay with.
At least it wasn't one. Huh?
Right. Yeah. No, but then I wake up and they're suctioning me, and now they're gonna take the ventilator out, and so they said cough, and I coughed, and they just kept pulling this thing out of me. I thought, how deep does this thing go?
Right.
It just kept coming out. It was all the way down to here.
Right. Yeah.
That's how far that thing went. Now, also, I want to stop here and let you know that when I go to a church group at Woodland Hills called The Refuge. It's on Thursday nights. It's for real people who have gone through some serious crap. Like I've struggled with addiction myself.
You attend this church in Woodland Hills?
At Woodland Hills. It's a Woodland Hills church down
and that's like an hour away?
No, that's like right down the street.
Oh,
it's
okay.
like over on Whiteper Avenue and next to that Perkins over there.
Oh, so that's not the Woodland Hill that's out there by, I forget what city that is, but that's like an hour or two away.
Right, yeah. No, this is right in Maplewood, next to that the Best Steakhouse or Party Time Liquor.
Oh, I know what you're talking about, yeah.
And
for those that don't know, we're in St. Paul, Minnesota.
we're in St. Paul, Minnesota, yes.
So if you know that area, you know what he's talking about.
Yeah. So my church group, move out of where? Pardon me. We can go over there if you want.
Yeah, I guess we can move over here.
So it's church group like we attend, my wife and I both do. It's for people who struggle with stuff, like real people who, we're not trying to be perfect, and we're going to put on our Sunday best. We go to church every week to put on this facade that we're perfect people. It's for people who struggle with drugs, who struggle with sex addiction, all that stuff. And it's a real community. And the Thursday before I woke up on Friday, they had a communal prayer for me in the big group. Because there's like a big group and then small groups, but that's enough details. But in the big group, they had everybody pray over me. And That's the next morning. I had woken up from my medically induced coma. Some people don't come out of those comas. That was the worry.
No doubt.
Is he going to make it out of this coma?
So that was Thursday they prayed for you?
Yeah, Thursday night they prayed for me. Friday morning, I'm sorry, I woke up.
Wow.
So I very much see that as the power of prayer right there. And
Definitely.
throughout even the whole thing, I know that Jesus was sitting right next to me the whole time. He had me in his care. So that's one of those things that I take away from, like, that's pretty cool.
Right, right.
Because even on Thursday night they tried to take it out,
Right.
but they asked me, said, "Do you want to take this out?" And I said no. In my drug-induced stupor, I said no. So Friday morning I woke up, and actually then my wife had to tell me, "It's Friday. This is what's happened to you." And I don't know what's going on. I just woke up from a coma. My parents are all there. Everybody's relieved that I'm waking up. I'm thinking, why is everybody relieved? I'm just awake. Then I would find out what happened. So for the next week or so, I stayed in the hospital. Lost 25 pounds. I couldn't eat. Severe atrophy. I mean, I weighed 185 or so before that. I was down to 160. I couldn't walk. I couldn't stand up. I was completely deconditioned.
We're gonna get some pictures and put it up when this video goes
Yeah.
up, so for people to get an idea of what you're talking about.
I literally looked like a crack addict. I just did.
Yeah,
You will see that.
Yeah, when I first seen you when you came back, you did not look the same.
It was a little weird.
And speaking of that, I mean, I know you're gonna get to that, but just to look at you now.
Yep.
And how long ago was that now?
This all took place in late February, early March.
And to look at you now, you got all your weight back,
Yep.
and you even actually added weight. Or
Yep. I'm up to 193 now.
Okay, that's a
Yep.
blessing.
But that's the key. Once I had a PICC line here that they used to inject drugs into me to keep me in that coma,
Right.
and also to, if I needed pain medications for my back and my side here, which I did. They introduced those through that little tube here. I had to have about 4 days or 5 days of, well, actually over the course of about a week and a half, intravenous antibiotics, penicillin G, because that infection was so bad. That's a pretty hefty antibiotic. So I was at home, I had this needle in my arm the whole time. I had to take, I couldn't do anything, really. I had to sit there with stuff being pumped into me.
So now, you wake up on Friday. You're there for a week and a half.
Yep, and that was just a matter of, coming back, recovering, being able to, doing a little physical therapy. When I first started walking again, I used a walker. Here's a 29-year-old using a walker, and I would walk 100 feet, and my heart rate would be at about 160. That's a pretty hefty run right there.
So how long did it take? How many days did it take to fully process, or was it right away when you woke up and your wife told you what happened? Did it take a few days? Was it one of them things like you're just kind of like, why this happened? Or, like kind of, how we always do, question God, hey, why is I'm in this situation, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Did it take a few days, or was it right away when she told you that you comprehended, or how did that work for you?
Yeah, right away I had no idea what was going on. I really didn't.
Right.
And even today I'm still kind of processing it. But the way I see it, if my story at all can touch somebody and let them know that God is real and the power of prayer is real, then if one person is touched, then I'll do it again.
Right.
As far as I'm concerned.
Because it was just actually what you figure was a normal flu.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden I wake up on Friday for 4 days of being a ventilator, and this is not a normal flu.
And did they say how did that happen? Did they say why it happened? Like, what's the possibilities that made that happen?
Yeah, they said that they see a case like this once every 3 or 4 years.
Wow.
Which is
very rare.
Great, that's wonderful. But they can't determine how it happened. They say it's community-acquired pneumonia, which could mean you could get it at the Y, you could get it at the hospital or the clinic, you could get it at home. It doesn't really make a difference, or they can't tell where I got it. But then I should mention this, I was septic. It turns out I was septic. I had liver failure, I had lung failure, I had tachycardia, which is a really fast heartbeat. I would just be laying this is before surgery, but I was laying in my bed and my heart rate would be at 130.
Wow.
That's not normal.
So I think it might be good to also note, so what day did you get out the hospital?
Oh gosh. Let's see.
So let's just do like the
March 7th, I think.
March 7th?
Yeah.
So whatever day that is, how long did it take you to get back in working out, and on top of that, did you? I know. I mean, of course, you want your weight back, but you know how it could be one of those things that you're just going to rest and get your food. You know, like get your weight back.
Yeah.
But how long did it take before you wanted to get back into the gym?
Well, I want to get back right away. I was doing squats in my hospital room when I should have been learning how to walk again. I was doing small, just like body weight squats because I knew this was going to be a hard road to come back from. But when I got my PICC line out after I had my 5 days of home antibiotics, then the second I got that out, I showered up and went right to the Y. Because I was like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah. And how long is that after you got out the hospital?
About a week.
About a week.
I'd say.
Okay.
Maybe some rough 6 days maybe or something like that.
Okay.
And Lee, another one of our friends here at the Y, said, "You'll be back by Memorial Day." So I took this as a challenge. And so I would say probably by mid-May is when I had all my weight back. So I got my PICC line was removed somewhere in the beginning of April, I think, or at the end of March. Either way, it's in that time frame. So in about 2 or 3 months, I had all my weight back. But that was a lot of eating, whatever I could, and then doing whatever I could here, pushing myself, but obviously not too much, because everybody's warning me, don't do too much, take it easy, and I don't know that. I don't know what that means.
Right.
I just did what I could.
Because you're a fighter, you're a warrior.
Absolutely,
You know?
and Stop there. I want to see my kids grow up. That's one of the things that they said, this guy's strong. When I was in the hospital, when I was in that coma, they said, he's strong, he's gonna fight through this. And that's, maybe subconsciously I did. But there's no way this is gonna take me down.
Right.
No way. And I would not let that happen in my power.
So if you did want to tell anybody anything, you already said that it's prayers real.
Yeah, and with the struggles I've had in the past before all this, there's a good chance my wife and I would not be together right now. And to see the caring and the unconditional love she displayed is the power of forgiveness and the power of Jesus for grace and forgiveness. Because she had no reason to be that concerned with me based on what I've done in the past to her.
Right.
And she did. She was there the whole time. And her name is Hannah, and she's my second half. And I love her dearly. And she showed me how much she loves me based on this whole experience.
That's what's up. Do you want to shout out your church one more time?
Yeah, Woodland Hills. Greg Boyd and the Woodland Hills crew.
And where is it located?
That's over in St. Paul. It's off of White Bear Avenue near the Party Time Liquor. Ripley's on one side and Larpenteur. So White Bear and Larpenteur.
White Bear and
Yeah,
Larpenteur?
it's the most real church that you'll ever find. It's not one of those places that's gonna be like, get your life together and then you're good. It's coming. If you got crap, that's what you do. You have crap. Everybody's crap.
Come as you is.
Huh?
Come as you is.
Yeah, and
So that's right there by that Walgreens then, right?
Yep, right up the road on Larpenteur. You go east on Larpenteur, and there it is.
Okay.
But that's what it's all about. It's not about judgment. It's all about being real.
Okay.
I've been at churches where it's like, let's put on a facade. This place is not that way.
I wanted to get your story because, like I said, I seen you before you got sick, in the gym,
Yeah.
and you look how you look now. Like I say, you even gained a little more weight, but then, you got sick out the blue. And then when I seen when you came back, thank God that you was able to come out the coma first of all,
Yeah.
and then once you did come out the coma, you was able to bounce back into the gym, and you're going even harder.
Oh yeah.
Like right now, you just told me upstairs that you hit 245 for the first time.
That's I've never done that before. I was
Right.
a small kid growing up, so that's kind of a big deal for me.
Oh yeah, no, that's a big deal. Period.
Yeah.
I got a lot of friends that they can't lift 175. So
There you go.
so it's a big deal, man. So I'm proud of you. I'm glad you came back. First of all, I'm glad you came out the coma, and the fact that you bounced back. A lot of people would have just got their weight up by eating it and then never got back to the gym. Because you know how it is. Even if you don't get sick, it's hard to stay in the gym anyway.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
hard to stay in the gym. So the fact that you came back after what you went through, it's a testimony within itself. You coming out the coma is a testimony within itself. So I wanted to get your story for that, and whatever message you wanted to spread after that, I was going to let you do that, which you just did.
Yeah. I got one more thing to say too, by the way.
No,
and
go ahead.
you're included in this like too. The support and the encouragement and the love we've received from all of our friends here at the Y, I mean, it is unbelievable. My coworkers sent me cards when I was in the hospital. I got all kinds of cards. I mean, one of the nurses who brought in mail said, like, you're like the prom king here because everybody's sending you mail. And I'm thinking, what did I do to deserve that? That is not expected. And it was so much of a blessing to see how much people care and how much they loved us, to care about us, and to encourage us that way, and to have people here that I've just met at the Y, like you, Ike, and
Right.
you genuinely cared, and you know, you're there for us. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem at all. In the world we live in, like you said, without people even being over each other's house or spending time outside the gym, you still can grow a connection.
Yeah.
Just by being around somebody.
Yep.
You know, once two people that got good hearts and stuff of that nature, you know, it don't take much for them to click or bond. You know.
Yep, absolutely, and that's why I want to say thank you to everybody who was on our side this whole time, and who know the story, who were there with it. Thank you. You know, that was one of the things that got us through the most, is all the love and support we got. So
Yeah, you're a good guy, so I'm not surprised.
appreciate that.
Your wife, she's a good lady too. You know, just a little bit I know her. You know, so yeah, man. And y'all two peas in the pot, far as your heart goes. You know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, man, it's beautiful, man. I appreciate you sharing your story.
Yeah, I appreciate you listening, and all of you who are watching this, I appreciate your listening too, and you know,
Is there
thanks for listening to my story.
anything else? You want to give a shout out to anybody besides the people that supported you through this?
All the nursing staff and all the doctors at St. John's Hospital, well done. I always rave about you guys, and just how well you treated me. And yeah, I think just my friends.
You better say hi to the wife and kids.
Hey, Connor, McKenna, and mom and dad, Jackie, Fred and Sandy, all the family we have that helped take care of the kids while I was in the hospital, all that. Thank you. I mean, we could not have done it without you, and it's a big deal. And for those of you who prayed and were just emotional support, I don't know what to do without you.
Well, I appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
listening again.
Yep.